The beginning of the year is the perfect time to declutter your finances and to reorganize them in a way that sets you up for financial success. Declutter, especially if you have so many accounts that you lost overview, but this reorganization can also mean to open up new accounts that you don't have yet, but that would help you organizing your finances so that every dollar gets a specific purpose and you don't spend it all due to lack of system. Now, to make this systematic, we will go through three main categories, and that is payment, savings, and investments. And while going through this video, we will also cover all the different accounts you at least need for an ideal financial infrastructure, so that afterwards you have a clear overview and also a clear purpose for each account. Now let's start with payments. This is all the different ways and accounts you use to pay all sorts of different bills. And you can just start by first assessing your current situation. And I think the easiest way to do it is to take out all the cards from your wallet or other places that you use for this. And this will be debit cards from checking accounts, credit cards from checking accounts or other credit card companies, prepaid cards, gift cards, also accounts from different payment services like PayPal, and this will also be cash. If you find gift cards, then maybe now is a good time to cash them in. When it comes to the ideal, I think the absolute minimum you should have is a checking account. So one checking account that you pay your everyday bills from. Now I do propose a second checking account that is just for fun. I do have the second checking account and I transfer money there, like 5 to 10% of what I earn each month. And this is kind of like my saving for bigger purchases. Now there will be at least one thing in your life that you like to spend on, but that doesn't count as the necessary everyday kind of thing. For me personally, it's luxury like jewelry and handbags and also travel. So everything that goes into my fun account, I split in half. I have two sub accounts there. One is for luxury and the other one is for holiday. And that way I make sure that, for example, if I want to book a flight, I have the sub account for holidays that is almost always stashed with money that I can pay that from. And I don't run the risk of not having money in there because I spend it before on a handbag, because that's what the other account is for. Now for you it might be something completely different, maybe a certain car or gear like tech or sports equipment or also traveling. So whatever it is, this second checking account for fun would mean to have money available for things that you love. Now, as you might have noticed, I am not advertising frugal living here. So you will not hear things about minimalism or switching off the lights in order to save electricity from me. But I am advertising building wealth, building real wealth, and making that a priority while at the same time spending on what you love. Because I think that is also an important part of being wealthy. If that sounds up your street, I invite you to subscribe. Now there is another option in the payments category, and that is a credit card. I think a credit card is not absolutely necessary. You might want to have one to build up your credit score, then it's just important that you pay them off in time and you don't keep a balance. And to be honest, if it's easier for you to not have one, then don't have one. I personally don't have a credit card, but I have to say that there's a difference between the US and Europe here. So I do have cards that are Visa and also MasterCards, but they're still debit cards because they transfer the money right from my bank account. So it's not a credit card in the, I guess, original sense of the word that you go into credit with a credit card company. So if you decide to have a credit card or also more than one credit card, just make sure it really serves you and you don't up paying more. And with that, let's get to the next category, which is savings. Now this is where you save for your emergency fund and maybe also for bigger purchases. Again, here you can first assess your current situation. So for example, maybe make a list in your journal or on your computer and list all the savings accounts you already have. And this will be like normal savings accounts, including high yield savings accounts and also money market accounts or certificates of deposit. And now that you're looking them up anyway, it's also a good time to check their current interest rates and see if maybe the conditions have changed or if there are other products out there with better conditions. I personally have only one high yield savings account, and that is where I keep my emergency fund. So I have up to 12 months of expenses in there. And that is also why I think you need at least one account in this category of savings. And I think the best options, depending on the interest rates and the conditions, are a high yield savings account or a money market account. Now, like I said before, I like to keep the money I'm going to spend at some point in a second checking account. But theoretically, you can also use a savings account for that. And of course, you can consider to have one for each goal. You don't need to though. Either way, the first thing you should do is fill up your emergency fund and, you set yourself a number of how much it's going to be. And then you fill the account up to that number. And if after that you decide that you want to save up for a specific purchase, you can just add that amount of money in there. That's why I don't think you need several savings accounts for that. But then it's very important that you don't withdraw more money than you're supposed to. For example, if your emergency fund fund is $20,000 and you also are saving for a car, which is also $20,000, and then the balance ends up at $45,000, you have to leave the $20,000 of the emergency fund in there and then whether save a couple of months longer or just spend less money on the car. But if it's easier for you to have several, then you can just have several. The ideal version here would probably be to have an account that allows several sub-accounts, so that way you're saving separately but you still have everything in one place. So you still have a good overview, but not all the banks offer these kind of sub-accounts. You definitely should not stop with a savings account, and that brings us to the next category, which is investments. Now, if you are already investing, that's great. Then you can assess all your different investment accounts. Maybe you can also track them by doing a list. If you don't have a savings account yet, then now is the ideal time to open one. And also here, I like it lean. I think you need at least one investment account. Now, if you live in a country where there are tax advantaged retirement accounts, like in the US or also in the UK, then you should open this one first when the conditions fit your needs. Now, obviously they have advantages because the money you put there doesn't get taxed the same way that other investments do. But this tax saving comes with a catch, and that catch is a cap amount. So you can only invest up to a certain amount in there. And you can also only withdraw that money after a certain period of time. So check that first, and if it's still the best option for you. At some point when you have reached the cap amount, but you can invest more after that, then it's time to open a second investment account. Now, if that's possible within the same provider, then you can do that. Otherwise, then you have to research other brokerage accounts. Now, I personally don't have a retirement account because we don't have this here. I did have, I think, between 3 and 4 investment accounts in between, where, I opened the first one because it had the best conditions. Then a couple of years later, there popped up another investment account that had better conditions, so I moved there. And then I opened another one because there I could buy stocks that wasn't possible at the other ones. So they kind of added up over time. But now I condensed it back to 2 investment accounts. Theoretically, you can keep them all, especially if they don't cost you. But if you don't use them anymore, I prefer to have only as many as you really need and use, because it gives you a better overview. You also need fewer steps when you're calculating your net worth, and also there will be no cash in the balance that is unused. So take a look at all of your investment accounts and see if the conditions are still the best out there on the market, and also decide if you still need them all or if you can close some of them. The transfer of all your stocks and your funds from one investment account to another should be free. Of course, if you want to invest in more than stocks and bonds, so in other assets too, you might need additional accounts for that, for example for crypto or for P2P lending. So those accounts then go on top to the investment accounts. So when you're just starting out, I think the absolute minimum is 1 account in each category. So a checking account, a savings account, and an investment account. Then if you keep on building wealth and your money grows, you can and probably will expand the number of accounts. Now that you've set up your perfect account structure to build wealth, you might want to dive deeper into investing. Then I recommend this video next. Thank you for watching, and I see you in the next video. Bye bye.